Welcome to Behind the Numbers, a podcast to keep you up to date with football cards and the hobby. Prizm Mania is among us. We have Ty back with us finally on the show today. Talk about Prizm prices, the product within the first 2 weeks of release, and we'll catch up on 5 takeaways from week 13 and updates on the rookie performances. But Ty, you got Master Mahomes behind you. So good to have you back, man. It's been a long hiatus for us in our little tie to tie. But how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Hey, hold on real quick. I made this just for this episode. Week 13. I mean, how cool is that?
When you get Ty, you get quality. That's what I like about having you on. Instantly, my graphics grade has gone from a 3 to a 10. I have to get the backgrounds. People try to see my basement, so we'll have to work on that next.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, buddy. How have you been?
Good.
How's life in Kansas City as you guys are now right in the thick of the 1 seed again? A little interesting. The Steelers lost today.
True. You know what? I'm glad Shinny was not on tonight because I would have given him such a hard time.
Man, brutal.
I don't want to hear Pittsburgh's the number 1 seed. Pittsburgh's the best team in the AFC. Not anymore. No.
It was a crazy game for sure. Overall, things have been great. It's just been an insane. Yeah, it was just a crazy week. A lot of upsets this week. Prizm's hot, heavy, breaks everywhere, cards selling like crazy everywhere. What are you thinking so far? The football, we can just talk about football in general or even just football hobby. It just seems like it's kind of popping right now because of Prizm, obviously.
Yeah, first off, I can't believe it's week 13. We're talking about week 13. I mean, that just was like that. I feel like every year that happens, right? The NFL season, you're like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Fantasy playoffs have started.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the NFL season's been outstanding.
Yeah,
I've been more engaged and excited about it than ever. I tell you what, though, this was a eye-opening week for Justin Herbert.
Yes. Well, there's got the numbers to prove it, right? But Belichick versus rookie quarterbacks, he's got an insane record and really has a tough time rookie quarterbacks do against him. So it was bound to happen. He's going to have that setback game.
For sure.
Definitely eye-opening for sure. But yeah, we thought we'd just jump right into Prizm. So that's the main topic for the show in terms of the product. That's what everybody's been waiting for. It's here. It's out. It looks incredible. We'll kind of talk about that. But I just want to go through real quick, just kind of update people on the wax prices as they've kind of came out super hot. And they're kind of tailoring down to more reasonable. They're still high, but still pretty reasonable. Cello packs are down to 40 each. Hanger boxes are 55 each. Blasters are 75 each in your retail checking out, I guess you could say. The blasters came out right off the hop. I don't know if you noticed, Ty, but they're 145 to 140 out the gate being bought. I saw people buying them on Facebook for that. I saw them selling on eBay for that. So they were being gobbled up in insane 7X prices I just couldn't fathom. So they're down to 75, which is definitely more reasonable. It is interesting because I do feel like it's come down a lot faster than Mosaic did. I really wonder if maybe we can look at something like that later, but it does seem like Prizm's coming down to earth a little bit quicker than what Mosaic did. I'm not sure why. Maybe just because Mosaic came out right at the peak of the start of the season, maybe. I'm not sure. No huddle boxes, 725 to 750, and then the hobby boxes are just right at 975, just under a K per box. It's kind of what we're looking at for the wax. So first off, what's your take on those like wax prices? And then secondly, do you like the product? Have you seen much, or what are you thinking about Prizm so far?
Yeah, I do like the product. I'm excited to see some in person. I haven't seen any in person yet. My theory on why Prizm's dropping, I think you're right. It is dropping faster than Mosaic is because, one, I don't think we realize how important Joe Burrow was.
Yeah,
that affects prices. Two, Herbert's had a couple mediocre weeks, and then three, I think people are realizing that Tua is not exactly. He's not exactly a tier 1 quarterback. He's not going to be that guy that's going to carry a product. He's going to be average. And so I think it's just like the reality of things setting in. And also they overreact the prices one way. They're going to overreact the other way. I think it'll resettle probably somewhere between where it is now, 10, 15% higher. That's kind of where I think it'll sit.
Okay. So you think we're at a low point now for wax. That's a good point. That's something.
I do. Yeah, I do. I don't think there's a ton of it made relatively speaking. And you don't have any other competing product until Contenders comes out, and that there's no retail in Contenders. There is, but no one cares about it. So
right. Yeah, and then we just have just a little bit of optic, but you said that's
true. Optic will be big. When is that hitting? January, February.
Yeah, it's kind of like in mid playoffs. It's a very interesting time for that product to hit. I always feel like because you're kind of coming down from football, so I feel like that product doesn't get the notoriety it should really. I've seen quite a few Prizm breaks. I'm pretty involved in watching those and been involved a couple. And product is clean. I definitely like the design a lot better than last year. I think it's more squarish looking, which I kind of like. Just the variations and the different colors. There is a lot of colors, so you have to kind of take that into account, but a lot of them they're just fantastic. I saw light blue Burrow out of 79 pulled, beautiful. Saw my good friend pulled a camo Claypool rookie out of 25. Really cool card. So just the card's really awesome. I think I plan next week I'm going to try to get some pictures of the parallels and share with you guys on the show, just to kind of give you an idea of what the different parallels look like. There's so many. Might as well get a chance to see them because you might not have a chance to see them all. So it's kind of my thought. But I'm really impressed with it overall as well. I think it's fitting the bill for what we are hoping for.
Absolutely. I'm flipping through. I'm going to flip it over here so you can see some of these. I mean, you're right. I do the flamethrower stuff. The inserts this year have just been awesome. Yeah. Across the board. I love the inserts.
The mosaic, right there. The disco. I like the disco looks. The disco looks are always pretty good. A lot of mosaic still being sold, so that's kind of hard to make it look for Prizm.
Yeah, we won't deal with that right now then.
No, it's all good.
Do you have a valuable card collection but you put zero effort into storage? Do you keep your cards in a box like this? Or like this? Something like this? This? Ho, ho, ho. What are we doing here? You need Pastime Marketplace. Pastime Marketplace is the Mercedes-Benz of sports card storage. The cases come in a variety of sizes. They're waterproof, airtight, dustproof, and extremely durable. If you care about your collection, visit PastimeMarketplace.com and treat your cards to the storage they deserve. Don't forget to use discount code BENCHCLEAR to get 10% off your order.
So the just kind of get into the rookie report, and then I kind of with each of the rookies, I do kind of have their general Prizm base price right now. So their actual Prizm cards, first couple sold, and we'll just kind of work from there.
Yep.
So Burrow, obviously he's out with the injury. I haven't a chance to talk to you about that. It does seem that the injury, we won't rehash this because I talked about it last week, but just he's gonna probably miss time next year too. Yep. How, just as from your perspective purely, how concerned are you about in terms of his long-term quarterback status? Or like, are you really concerned, or do you think he'll still be effective? Or is it like, how open are you to buying low on Burrow during this injury time? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't think he'll hit a low until 9-10 months from now. I wouldn't touch buying a Burrow right now.
Right.
And I mean, here's the reality, right? I mean, he's not going to come back until, what are they saying, like week 6? Somewhere between like week 3 and week 6.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have one of the better quarterback classes
coming on
already playing at that point.
Right.
I mean, you know how the hobby works, right? It's like, what do you got for me lately? What have you done for me lately? Like, they're going to be so focused on that rookie class that they're not going to be thinking about Joe Burrow coming back and buying his rookie cards from last year. I think that's just going to be the reality situation, and it's going to present an opportunity. He's going to have to light the world on fire for anyone to see like great movement on his cards.
I think the crazy thing is, one of my good friends just messaged me that we talk a lot of product talk, and he just said, I can't believe what breakers are still trying to put the Bengals for compared to Herbert. They're still trying to put them right together. Yeah. And just like, you can't do that because Herbert's base, which we're getting to, is going for quite a bit more, and Burrow's the bottom's falling out, and people know it. So it's actually been pretty hard. The Bengals have kind of been sitting on the table for pick your team formats. People aren't jumping at the Bengals price anymore. And to your point, like, I think you're right. I thought soon the buying time would be, but now I think about it, I think soon as that announcement comes or he goes on to injured reserve to start the season next year, that's when you're going to want to buy, because they're like, oh, he's going to be out for 6 more weeks. That's just, then the bottom's going to fall out because people think, oh, he's not progressing, or, but he's got a major knee surgery reconstruction. It's going to take time. There's going to be a good buying window if you do believe. I believe in the arm talent. I think that arm talent, I believe it'll still be there. I am more worried about him being on the Bengals more than I'm worried about Burrow. Like, will they actually get the pieces to not get him destroyed again? Like, will that actually be a point of emphasis? So that's kind of my take on it. But I think there will be a better buying window for sure.
Yeah, well, and then real quick on that, the whole Prizm movement and stuff in general, with obviously Burrow being out, but the X factor right now is Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
If he starts next week, and he looked pretty good when he came in, if he starts next week, that changes the perception considerably, I feel like, of products for the rest of the year. Because then you have 4 quarterbacks who are starting.
Yeah,
so watching that closely.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get to him. He's a part of our buy sell,
Cool.
so that'll be good. So we got so Joe Burrow, he's like we said, he's out. He's at 90 to 110 right now. His base is fluctuating, just his base Prizm card. Herbert was 26 for 53 for 209 and 2 picks against Patriots. They got shut out. Like you said, probably his worst game of his career. Belichick has that effect on people. So, we're going to see some bumps in the road with the rookie quarterback, and we definitely saw one there. Herbert's base is going for 175 for just base rookie card. Tua's 75 to 100 for his base rookie card, 26 for 39, 296 and 1 touchdown. Definitely a slow start. His numbers look better than they were. The Bengals, he just didn't do very the thing I watched with Tua in terms of a evaluation perspective, he's really happy feet in the pocket. He is not calm and collected in the pocket. He is constantly on the move, so his feet aren't off. He's trying to overset as a quarterback, keep his feet rapid firing to the point where he's not comfortable in the pocket. And so I think it's really affecting his timing and just affecting just his effectiveness right now. But I think that's something he can definitely develop. But your pocket awareness is an important quarterback attribute that people don't really pay attention to. And hopefully that can get better for him.
So interesting. I agree. I don't have the depth of knowledge like you do. So that's a great point. But I also tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like the ball does not come out of his hand as hot as it does other quarterbacks. It just doesn't seem like he has the arm strength. He's got great touch.
Yeah.
He throws well on the run, but it doesn't seem to me like the ball comes flying out.
No, well, not compared to Herbert or Burrow. The arm talent, I think, not close. You watch Tua try to throw those 14-yard outs or those deep outs, and it takes a while to get there. But Herbert and those guys definitely zip it. I definitely agree with you there. That's 100% on the money. So another guy got us some time. Looks like that drum beat finally got loud enough that Hurts actually got a chance to show he could do a little bit. Haven't really announced if he's starting next week, but definitely something I'm sure is on the table. But Hurts came in. He was 5 of 12 for 109, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He had 5 rushes for 29 yards. He obviously has a little bit better of a rushing component than Wentz. He's going for $51 to $70 for his Prizm base right now. You said you were happy with his kind of little short stint against the Packers. You thought he did well?
I did. Look, it's hard to come in. But what I liked is I felt like the Eagles were genuinely excited to have him in.
Yeah.
Almost like the team, and it happens every time a new guy comes in, everyone's excited. There's a change. Let's go get him, Yeah. But I felt like it looked pretty real. I don't know how Peterson plugs Wentz back in. I just don't know how.
I think you're right. This just seemed like that. The energy was definitely different, and that can happen. So kind of coming down to the tier 2 guys, kind of the receiver running backs. We got Love in here, but CeeDee Lamb's 10 to 15. He plays tomorrow. Justin Jefferson's 30 for his base Prizm, 9 for 121, 1 touchdown. 30 is pretty high for a receiver, and I have another number for you later in the show that's really surprising with him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 10 for 15. He suited up but didn't play. Cost me a fantasy matchup for being actively not active. Jordan Love, $25 for his. He's not playing yet, obviously. T. Higgins, $8 to 10 for his base, 5 for 56. Claypool, $15 for his. He was 2 for 38 tonight. Just in that tier 2, really receiver heavy. Jefferson and Lamb are kind of the cream of the crop. Claypool's getting in that conversation. It's just a lot of mouths to feed in Pittsburgh, as we talked about before. But thoughts on any of those guys at all?
The more I watch Minnesota, the more I'm just impressed with Jefferson.
Yeah,
I think he stands out by far as the number 1 receiver in this class, and that's incredible to say because I think you would have we came into the season thinking he's 4 or 5.
Yeah,
and I think some of it just you saw Denver against the Chiefs, Locke can't get Judy the ball.
No, he was 1 for 5. Yeah,
I don't know if that's on Judy, if it's probably more so on Locke.
Yeah,
so that's pretty frustrating. And then Lamb, of course, he's playing with the third string quarterback now, and So, I'm just really impressed with Jefferson. Claypool, I've talked to Shani about this. He thinks he's rookie of the year, and it's it's so hard for a receiver to get that. Or, of course, quarterback's going to get it, but at one point he was having a historic season. But
it just for that rookie of the year, there's a couple things to think about. Is that it's hard to say who the best receiver in that team is. Deontay Johnson's playing really well, and Juju's there playing pretty well. All three of them are playing really well. That's why their offense is tough. But I mean, you look at guys like who's been more valuable to their team. Antonio Gibson might be more valuable to his team. James Robinson has been putting up massive numbers. Then obviously the quarterbacks, and not to we just mentioned Jefferson. I think all those guys have done a lot of work this year that would be considered just tough for Claypool being in that system with three guys that are already pretty good. But yeah, we'll get that kind of tier 3 here. Deandre Swift, he actually looked good. I think it was 2.5 weeks ago, concussion. He's been out, so we haven't really seen him for a while, unfortunately. Judy, as we mentioned, 1 for 5. Dobbins plays tomorrow. He's been getting better, getting more time. He kind of working into that number 1 role finally. Chase Young, I think, is a big part of why that defense is really tough and why they are able to be a team like the Steelers. People underestimate what a really good DN can do for a defense, and I think he's kind of shown that. He didn't get a sack or anything this week. I just think he sets the edge, sets the tone there. Jonathan Taylor's coming to life, 13 for 91, 3 for 44, and 1 touchdown. So he had a nice little splash 2 weeks ago, was out with COVID last week and got right back on track. So that's really encouraging to see him coming on. And his teammate is getting impressed as well as Pittman, 5 for 46. And then we'll just go through these kind of lesser guys. Well, I don't think James Robinson's not a lesser guy. He doesn't have a card yet, but 18 for 78, 1 touchdown, 6 for 30. And then Rager, 1 for 34, 1 for 11, a punt return touchdown. Akers is coming on. He's getting a lot of touches with the Rams. 21 for 72, 1 touchdown, 1 catch for 22 yards. Hamler, Moss, Mims. I really like Mims a lot as like a low-end sleeper guy. I've been targeting him in breaks. And then Antonio Gibson got injured tonight, 2 for 14. But again, long list of productive guys. Any of those guys that I zipped through that you like more than most?
Yeah, what an incredibly productive rookie class. I mean, it's been exceptional. I mean, going back to why prices are so high, there's just so many good, solid players. 2 guys that stand out to me. 1, Chase Young is incredible. Yeah, absolutely incredible. Like the Washington D is, I mean, what are they, 3rd ranked? I mean, they're a really tough D.
They really put it together with Ron Rivera over this year for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't want to play those guys. I don't. Are they in they're 1 game back, right? I want to say they're 1 game back.
I know. I think they're tied.
Are they tied? Okay.
I think they're both 5 and 7, I believe, because they both won.
That's a team where, like, with Alex Smith just kind of managing the game, you just don't want to play those guys in the wild card round because their defense can shut down a team. But yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens tomorrow with Baltimore. Now that Ingram's back, does Dobbins get a majority of the carries?
Yeah.
Because he has been hot. He's been fun to watch.
Yeah, so like 2 weeks ago, because they both were out with COVID last week. I think it was 2 weeks ago. They both were there, and Dobbins still got the fair share. Ingram kind of slid back a little bit. But we'll basically coming off COVID, we'll see how they get managed. But yeah, definitely Dobbins feels like he's taking that over. I think for me, I said it last week in the show, I think Denzel Mims is my sleeper. My main point with that is that if Trevor Lawrence goes to New York, boom, he's got a guy. Because like right now, he keeps getting 2 for 40, 3 for 70. He keeps making those big plays. We have a lot of volume because they just don't have the trust to give a lot of volume to the quarterback position. So if they get a guy like Lawrence or Fields, like I just think he's going to really take off next year. Cam Akers, I liked him preseason. Definitely rough going, had the injury, but he's kind of battled back, and the Rams are starting to give him the share. 21 for 72 with a 3-quarterback system. You get 21 carries with 3 quarterbacks. They're kind of making you the guy. And so he keeps turning it on. So I like him as well. So getting off the rookies a little bit, I thought we'd kind of open up to hobby chat. And I kind of wanted to put this section in because I do want to keep this show about the hobby. I know it's fun to talk about the stats and about the different things that happen every week within football. But, I just want to open up to the listeners. I'm seeing we're some great viewership of the show. So if you ever have a hobby topic, just put it in the comments. I'll put it down. We'll talk about it the next week, give you a little bit of influence what we talk about in the hobby chat. So I made the list today. I'm having Ty on, but love to get you guys input going forward in terms of what you'd like to chat about in the hobby chat. So this week, first thing I want to talk about with Ty, and it's the price guru to kind of talk about, is the wax gap versus singles gap. So we talked a little bit just before we started the show about my perception, and this is pure perception. I wouldn't say I have the solid backing with it, but it does seem that wax keeps increasing, but the singles aren't getting way up there to make you feel good about spending that much money on the wax. And in turn, makes me feel like we're getting pushed more and more to the smart play of just buying cards than buying cards to open. And I just want to get your kind of feeling on that. As just, you don't have to have the numbers, just kind of your feeling on that and just what you think.
Yeah, the smart play has always been to buy singles. I think now, so we just notice it more. right?
Yeah.
Because box prices are always crazy. I mean, you go to any of the forums, you always get guys that pop in there and they're like, it's a fool's game to open boxes and try to make your money back. You have to get lucky. And that's the case these days.
Right.
Unless you're opening basketball cards, you can get like $4,000 silvers,
Yeah.
But then again, now I'm looking at the Prizm prices on basketball. It's like boxes are like $10,000. It's like there was no product 2 years ago priced for $10,000 for a case. Now
I just can't fathom, just because I'm just not in the realm of moving $1,000 around, like 2,000. I'm not in that realm of that kind of movement. Yeah. And so when I see somebody go and buy the chargers for $800 on like a 4-box break, of hobby, and they hit a light blue, like whatever they hit a red cracked ice Herbert, and they just broke even. I was like, man, you just got a hit. And you just broke even on your buying. That to me, that makes zero sense to have that type of, you get excited about getting hit and you're still barely paying your way. So it's just interesting.
The other element now that we have to factor in is now like your ability to turn a profit in opening card comes down to not just you getting the card, but now you have to get a card that's going to grade a PSA 10.
Right.
If you get the card, it's not good enough now. Now you have to get the card that's perfectly centered, perfect surface, or else it's kind of like, oops, why did I do this?
Yeah. And that's in your buying the single, you have the same gamble as opening the card too. Like, the gamble might be a little bit more because it might have been looked over and being sold for a reason. But I think it's funny too that people assume that everything out of the pack is going to be good, and it's not. It's just not how it works.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially this year, I feel like there's been some releases. I opened first time ever I opened hockey product this year. Mm-hmm. Mainly because I forgot I ordered it, but I got it in. I'm like, oh shoot, well, might as well open it. And I went through and like young guns are obviously what you chase after, but I looked in the blowout forums before I started opening these, and there was all these complaints about the conditions, and I'm like, oh please, so let me have this. Every young gun for an entire case had a corner bent.
Oh, geez.
A case of cards ruined.
Wow.
And it's just like, I mean, that's in 2020, this should not be happening.
No, especially with the emphasis of grading. You might be able to slide that by 10 years ago, 8 years ago, but with the emphasis now, that's just, it's tough. Did you get any of the Rangers rookie? Did you get the main guy?
Alexis Lafreniere, is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think so. I think you hit that. It was good.
Wow. I got a few. A couple of them I couldn't even sell or grade because they were just such bad condition.
Yeah. Probably why I'm seeing a lot of them trying to be sold raw right off the gate. They come out pretty hot, but anyway. Right. So then I guess just off of that point, Ty, like tips on singles pricing out the gate. So in terms of big releases coming out, obviously I think we're all under the impression that buying right after release singles is not smart, because you want things to settle and see where they come. I'll just talk about like kind of the thing I do whenever it comes to release. I see a card that I like. The first thing I do is I look at a similar card, but a similar talent in the previous year, and I see where it's at now. And so like I said that with the Luminous cards, I really like the Herbert Luminous out of XR. I looked at the Kyler Murray and it was a third of the price. For Prizm right now, Herbert's going for 175. I look back previous year and base Prizms for Kyler is going for about 90. Now, obviously the grading chances for the Kyler might be less, but that's still a pretty big gap. What do you do when you're trying to figure out when you want to target some singles to buy?
So I think to your point first, so Star Stock did that investment challenge for NFL. I think it was their 12 sports card guys, a couple sports guys, and they all got $500 to invest in football cards. And a lot of them gravitated towards buying the new guys. And all but 2 of them in the last 12 weeks have lost money on their original $500. And it's because it's a losing proposition to buy these guys at their peak prices. And there's a lot of hype, excitement, but like it is a no-win situation.
No, it's great. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but like the strategy is you go next year, the year after, you go buy the Joe Burrows. Last year, when everyone was buying Zion Williamson, all you have to do is swoop in and buy Luka Doncic, and you're gonna make money to pay off your house, right? That's just insane. Like the second, third year guys are the guys that went through the frustrations of the rookie year, and their sophomore, junior years they explode, and the cards are, they're reasonably priced, and you have a chance to get in. So
yeah,
that's the play.
Yeah, I think so too. Man, I wish I would have gotten on that $500 thing. I could have helped my strategies.
You would have crushed it. Next year, I'll make sure Scott gets you into that thing.
All right, thanks. So but the last topic of hobby chat I want to talk about that I think a lot of things come in this conversation, and we can make it as long as we want or as short as we want, Ty, but grading versus selling raw. How to decide which avenue to take. I think that is a constant struggle for most people in the hobby, because everybody gains all these cards that are all great cards that if they're graded, they're even better. How do you decide the grade versus don't grade? And I think that PSA and BGS is kind of forcing our hand more and more every year with the prices going up, making it tougher to grade base, taking chances on like a guy that's not as well known. Like, let's say you're grading Christian Kirks 2 years ago when he was looking like he could be good, and now he's not. What do you think about that? Kind of your decision process in going versus grading it versus just selling it raw?
Yeah. So with new cards, it's a different approach because obviously you have an opportunity to sell cards raw at a peak price. The flip side is you can go grade and you go pay extra and get a PSA 10 and sell the PSA 10 at peak price too. Mm-hmm. So you have to be really careful with that. The exception to the rule is if you get a high end card, a low numbered card, a really well done, autograph or silver or something like that, probably makes sense for you to take a shot at grading it. Yeah. Even the $50 option at BGS or the $75 option at PSA, probably worth it. But like for cards that you're sending in bulk, I always do is the simple math. If I add $20 to the price it's selling for now raw, and if I think it's going to sell for that, or if I can prove it to myself that a PSA 10 or a BGS 9.5 and up will sell for at least $30 or more higher than it is right now, then it's worth me sending in.
Right.
Because you're going to pay all in. You're going to pay about $20 a card, somewhere between 15 and 20, and you got to figure the card is going to move 15 to 20% one way or the other. Right. So you have to add that in, and so just getting a simple spreadsheet out and kind of doing the math real quick will help you understand if it's worth it.
Yeah, like perfect example. I think one of my first order that I had with you was I had an Ohtani in there, and he went from super well wanted to nothing. like that's a losing proposition. So like the length is also an issue in this discussion, right? Because the market so much can change if you're waiting, over 6 months, which a lot of people are for both companies. I think that's something to consider too. Do you think that player has a longevity of keeping these prices? The quarterbacks, sure. The Acuñas, sure. The Zions, sure. That makes it harder to take a chance on those kind of second to third level guys, I think. Do you agree?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah. I think the reality is like we're going to continue to see the push towards grading is at the center of everything. Like raw is going to be harder to buy. A lot of cards are going to be sent. More cards are going to be sent to get graded. I think it's just the reality situation. And as a seller, I've said this before, I get cards graded not just because I think it increases their price, but because it protects me as a seller. There's nothing worse than selling a bunch of raw cards and you have zero seller protection on eBay. Right. Alternative now is to send them off a Star Stock.
Yep.
Go to Star Stock, use code BenchClear.
Yep.
But that's not quite there yet because they only accept rookie cards, right? So you got to figure things out.
Which is smart for them to start there because that's the biggest pull. Like that's what everybody's looking for. So I think it's really smart by them, and it'll grow. I think it's getting a lot of popularity. I'm hearing about it more and more every day. Just people talking about it, liking the interface. So that'll definitely be a way for sure. And then just to kind of end with this is that, guys, if you want to check out Ty and Basketball Collector, Mike talked about the change with PSA. They got kind of bought out and kind of their thoughts and how that can change. So make sure to check out that in the podcast. And I think it's on BenchClear YouTube as well, Ty, or is it just, I listened to it on the podcast for you?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So check them both out. was a good show for sure to get a little perspective on that grading. Kind of get to the old school of Mike's perspective and the new school Ty's perspective. So it's a good little contrast. So kind of coming into the top 5 takeaways for week 13. NFC least rears its ugly head. Giants win at Seattle and Washington just won today at Pittsburgh. What? So what are your thoughts on that? I just couldn't believe those outcomes. Especially the Giants, because the Giants won without Daniel Jones on the road on the from East Coast to West Coast. That to me I didn't see that coming at all.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like if I'm putting money on a team right now, it's Washington.
Yeah,
they have the veteran quarterback. They have the best defense. Like that's who I'm going with.
Right.
But what a weird season for that division.
No, it's so weird because I just thought the Eagles. There's no way the Eagles could lose it, but we're finding out there is a way the Eagles could lose it. They're pretty much 2 games back now, so it's pretty crazy to see where that division's gone. Take 2. Taysom Hill starting to show that he's a starting quarterback. He's 27 for 37 for 232 and 2 touchdowns. Saints are rolling without Breeze 3-0. What are your thoughts on Taysom Hill? Before you answer, I was just going to say that the week before he beat the Broncos without a quarterback through their whole quarterback breaking COVID protocol situation. So yeah, I won't say they're rolling, but today, this is the first week it felt like they were on track offensively. But what are your thoughts on Taysom Hill and the Saints right now? 3-0 without Breeze.
Impressed. I'm impressed. I got to see a lot of his through the red zones action, and his 17 contenders rookie, by the way, is taking off.
I saw that.
Oh my goodness.
300-400. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, he looked good. He looked good. He looked very confident in the pocket. So good for them. I mean, good for the Saints. They've been giving that guy a lot of reps. They believed in him, so it's paying off.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that is people complain about his quarterback ability. He does kind of have a little whippy motion. He's not a very smooth mechanical thrower, but his running game, his ability to just take off, I think is not valued as much as people think. Like he was a tight end for them. He is like an H-back. Like the dude can move. So he will always have the dual threat. And I think Sean Payton's the best offensive mind to me to trust. Him and Andy Reid are the best offensive mind guys in the league to trust. So if it's a guy that can make him succeed, it'd be Sean Payton. So I definitely think, I think the Saints are a good spot. Whenever Breeze goes down, that defense says, okay, we're going to turn it up. And they play lights out. So we could see how they go for going forward. Who do you like between, just real quick, Packers or Saints for NFC top team? Who do you like?
I'm going with Packers.
Yep. I think so too. Quarterback play. Packers defense is worrying me, but I think I'm going with the Packers as well. All right, Browns impress at Tennessee. They got out to like a 38-0 lead. Ended up only winning 41-35. Titans came back. Baker looks better, but the weird thing, the Browns, they improved to 9-3. It's just so weird to see them 9-3 because I've just seen them look so bad in the 3 losses. What are your thoughts on the Browns?
Well, first off, in that game, I got ripped to shreds 4 or 5 weeks ago when I was like, Tennessee is not in the same conversation as Pittsburgh and Kansas City. People were like, yo, you're crazy. Okay. I think point proven, right?
I think that week it was. The week before, they dominated the Colts, though, the Titans did. So the Titans, we just can't figure out. Their defense isn't good enough to be in that tier. I agree. You were right, sir. You were right.
Now, I'm not saying you did. I'm saying others in the comments.
Oh, they did? Okay.
People. No, man, I look, Mayfield looked awesome.
Yeah.
What I think is, I mean, Chubb is arguably the best running back in the NFL. He's definitely the best running back on Madden 2021. I just proved that with my son the other night. And I mean, now that you got Mayfield and Jarvis Landry connecting, like that took, I feel like all season, because Odell when he went down was like, who's he going to build this connection with? Yeah, that's legit, man.
Yeah, play action game's working. They're getting vertical. Yeah, I mean, who knows? They're a tough time for them to win the division. They're going to be a wild card team. But 9-3, I mean, they have a good defense too. They can get it done. So it'd be interesting to see if they get something going when it comes to playoff time. I know Shani doesn't think they're a threat at all. So we'll have to keep seeing how that works out.
Oh, can you imagine a Cleveland-Pittsburgh matchup in the playoffs?
Yeah, I know. I know. I tell you, Shani could not imagine that, but
you wouldn't hear from Shani in months.
No. Take 4. Rams beat Arizona in the desert to take the NFC West back over. With Seattle losing, got the Rams back in the top of the division. Division's a very strong division, but the Cardinals are in a tough spot now. Cardinals are down to 6-5, so they're 2 games back of the division right now. Kyler's beat up. I think people don't really know, but I'm pretty sure he's got a sprained/bruised AC joint. I think he's trying to play through, so I think his effectiveness has kind of gone down, and they're just trying to weather it, which is going to happen when you're running that much. But thoughts on the Rams, that division, just Cardinals, Kyler, anything?
I thought Rams were impressive. That's the team I just can't figure out still. I feel like they're just kind of like that silent assassin over there, just doing their thing, But yeah, I think it was it when they were playing Seattle when Kyler got hurt. I saw the injury happen. They didn't really talk about it, and then like a couple plays later, like I think he's not feeling so hot.
Yeah,
and he is not the same quarterback.
Right. I think he's definitely injured, so definitely something to monitor. Still a scary team because the Cardinals are still in a position to kind of sneak into that because it's 7 teams now for the playoffs. They're still in a position to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they could definitely still be a tough matchup because their defense is pretty solid, and they obviously with Kyler you're going to have a chance. But really interesting to see how they do. That division has been really intriguing all year. The Seahawks, Rams, and Cardinals, they're all really fun teams to watch. So, So last point, I thought it's kind of weird as an ugly head finally a little bit as COVID spikes up this week, costing the Ravens a fair matchup versus Pitt. They had to play without Lamar. They got smoked. Then the games this week, we have 2 games tonight on Monday night, and then we have a game tomorrow with the Ravens and Cowboys now because of COVID. You getting nervous at all? You think we're just doing a good job managing and things are fine? Like, what are your thoughts on COVID right now in terms of how it's going through the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's to the point now where you can't move games around, and you got to play them, right? You have to play the games. So, I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, you have to. I know the Pittsburgh team most of the team was upset that they were moving the games around. Like, hey, we're protecting ourselves. Like, you guys protect yourselves.
Yeah,
that's what they're saying. And I kind of agree with that. Just like, hey, if it happens, it happens. The problem is, it's not just people who get it; it's the contact tracing, where it's like if you were, like the Broncos, right? The guy slipped off the mask in a stretching drill. It's like, and all of a sudden they all can't play. It's like, this is tough. It's just tough.
Yeah, right. That's why they have the protocols, though. It's kind of like follow the rule.
I get it. I totally get it. But it's not just people who get it now. It's 4 or 5 layers down that can't play, and that just makes it tough to field a team.
Oh yeah, more uncontrollable variables. There's not a lot you can't control for sure. Definitely. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think I'm with you. I think that they're managed the best they can. It sucks that the Ravens kind of lost that, but to be fair, they kind of already out of the division, really, I think. So I think that they're going to be a wild card team at best anyways. Once they get up to speed, they're still going to be a threat as a wild card team, just like they were before. So I don't think a lot got lost in that, other than kind of everybody wanted to see that good rivalry game, which definitely a tough game to miss. Definitely didn't like watching RG3, that's for sure.
Go figure, he got hurt again.
Yeah, I know. So we got buy, sell, hold. This time I switch it up this week to this guy or that guy. So which guy would you take if you'd like? So first one, Jalen Hurts. I just picked up some kind of random cards. This one actually has a little bit of purpose because I had one. I sold it today though. Jalen Hurts, quarterback, Mosaic silver rookie autograph for $210. Jordan Love, quarterback, Green Bay, Mosaic silver autograph for $120. So which of those kind of Hurts is getting the start, but do you still like Hurts all day?
Yes.
All day, 210. So
I think Jalen Hurts train. Oh yeah. I'm
right.
a Hurts fan. I think he's going to do really well.
Okay. Yeah. I've sold mine for Hurts. I'm kind of getting out a little bit while it's hot. What people think he's going to start. I just worry about his passing, just like long term. Just remember him at Bama. Like a lot of guys in the Oklahoma system look like they can throw. I need to see him actually be the thrower to really go in on him. But I'm a little bit of sell in terms of Hurts. If you guys get a high point, that's just me personally.
Do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it hits it pretty high. I mean, if he's hitting 210 for a sticker autograph rookie card, I mean, that's still a pretty good spot for Mosaic too, while Prizm's out. But yeah, this one, I went a little AFC East for you. Tua, you already talked about your thoughts on Tua, so this might be an interesting one. Tua, Prizm Steelers 675, or Josh Allen's PSA 10 for $3K. So I do want you to keep in mind the price difference. So Josh Allen, $3K for PSA 10 Prizm silver, or Tua raw off release 675. What do you think about that? I know you're a big Josh Allen believer in weeks 2 and 3. See how you feel about that now. He's still good.
So I think Josh Allen will be a top 5 quarterback for the next 5 years. So I think that $3,000 card probably is a $5,000 card in 2022. So yeah, I'd go with Josh Allen. I wouldn't take a shot at all. Hoping it's a PSA 10.
All right, that's fair. So you're going to take the safer bet, but cost you more cost. All right, Ty. It's a good choice. Good choice. I think. I just think that I like what the Dolphins are doing as a team, and so I see some upside there. But I do think that Josh Allen is probably the better quarterback, and I think I do agree with you in the sense that that's a safer play that you'll find the nicer gains. There's so many factors that Tua is a PSA 10, then we get that nice bump. And then if he plays well next year, we get another bump. But I think that the safer play would be Josh Allen for sure. I'd probably go Josh Allen, not be as risky because I'm a little bit worried about Tua's efficiency as well. We jumped off the quarterbacks here. I got some receivers. It's probably going to blow your mind, Ty. I don't think you're going to be prepared for this one. I'm going to start with AJ Brown, base Prizm silver, $59. Okay. And that's just raw. Justin Jefferson's and a 2020 info Prizm silver. What do you think that is at right now?
Raw?
Yeah.
125.
353.
Prizm silver for Justin Jefferson's going for 353.
Two of them have gone over 300. Yeah. And it makes me mad because I like the guy so much. He's one of my, like I told you before, he's like one of my favorite receivers coming out. But you can't. Like that's so high.
Oh my gosh, that is mind blowing. I would not have guessed that. I mean,
I know. I was shocked. So I mean, AJ Brown's probably the safe play there for 59. But I'd more put that on there to show you how crazy that price is.
Well, shoot, you can get a 2019 Prizm DK Metcalf PSA 10 for $325.
Yeah, the silver or the base?
The base.
Still, but that's still crazy. Yeah. And DK is like my number one receiver going forward long term. So, yeah, that's crazy.
Unreal.
Got a couple running backs here. I got the high pick guy versus the low pick guy. So I got Jonathan Taylor's 2020 Prizm silver out the gate is $40. Antonio Gibson 2020 Prizm silver is what, Ty?
And I didn't look at any of these. This is truly guessing. I'm going to say 250.
Yeah, he's only 70. But he's for Gibson, which is still kind of low. But Taylor being 40 and Gibson being 70 does show the hobby's respecting Gibson more. And Taylor was obviously a second round, first round pick, right? So it is interesting to see that kind of change in the hobby's perception of the talent. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think it is obvious, though. I mean, that Gibson is like a poor man's McCaffrey. I mean,
him and Robinson are both catching and running really efficiently every week. They're both top 10 quarterbacks in fantasy or running backs in fantasy. It's been a really impressive year. Now Taylor's starting to come on, so that talent could start to come through. But I thought it was kind of interesting to see that people are now putting Gibson above Taylor in terms of value. Which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. All right. So, get into our week 14 games to watch. So next week, I thought a couple to mention. You can chime in on the ones you want to watch, Ty, you're going to watch. But Colts at Raiders, that's interesting because those teams are just so hard to – which team's going to show up? Is it the Raiders against the Chiefs or the Raiders against the Jets? Colts are kind of the same way. They're really good against some teams and just not showed up with others. So I'm really interested to see who kind of comes up in that game to play. Vikings at Bucks, just because the Vikings are kind of in a must-win to keep their playoffs alive, and the Bucks are trying to reestablish themselves off the bye to get back to their winning ways. Steelers at Buffalo on Sunday night will be a really good one, and then Ravens at Browns on Monday night will be a good one. So got a couple AFC North teams coming down the stretch here to watch. Any of those games really interested you?
Those are all great. I mean, Vikings Bucks is going to be exceptional, but I think Ravens Browns. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, that has a lot of implications for the AFC wildcard.
Oh, it does. I mean, the Browns could, if they win, they could put the Ravens in a tough spot, even not making the playoffs.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. So it's really, really crazy. So really see what Lamar's prices go if he doesn't even make the playoffs. That'd be really interesting. But so that was Week 13 show, crazy. Thanks for being on, Ty. What do you got
Well, I'm
planned?
done, man. I gotta show you some stuff.
Oh, that's right. We got the PSA.
Yeah. Oh, heck no.
I was going to ask you about your holiday plan.
Well, I'll tell you what. I won't even show it. I'm going to tell you a couple things that I think are really, really crazy. So let me pull this up. So for folks that are listening, we run some analysis on PSA pop changes and obviously pricing changes. Who do you think in the last 8 days, those 8 days, added the most PSA 10 population to their PSA pop counts?
For football, like quarterback?
All the prime rookies that are playing now.
For football.
All football.
I would say DK.
Daniel Jones, 54 added this week. Drew Lock, 43. Kyler Murray, 41. Stidham, 24. And Dwayne Haskins, another 21 added.
Yeah, that makes sense actually, because it's like all those people that bought that stuff preseason, like they're throwing them to Greg at the wrong time, where they waited too long and now they're lost a lot of money while it was sitting there.
To our point, though, right? This is what happens sometimes, and you try to get those grades in. Well, you probably should have sold those Daniel Jones and Jarrett Stidhams a little earlier.
Stidham hasn't done anything. Yeah, Haskins already got benched, and then Locke not doing much. So yeah, the tough group.
Who do you think was the highest PSA 10 price change this week?
This week,
in 1 week, yeah, I was tracking it week over week.
Well, I mean, like Taysom Hill, you said, I know he had a big bump.
Taysom Hill went up 530. Patrick Mahomes went up another $890 in the last week.
And that's just on his PSA 10 silver price?
It's PSA 10. So he didn't have a silver, right? Or he only had a silver. Was that right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So Tyreek Hill up $250.
Oh, yeah, that's an obvious one after his 260-yard monster day. Insane. And then he should have had a touchdown last week. They didn't challenge it, and then he had touchdown called back too. Crazy week.
Who would you take, DK or Tyreek right now to build your around?
It's really hard because I just feel the thing about Tyreek is I just think he's gonna be really effective for a really long time. Like DK is so big, I just gosh, I would probably take DK just because I think that he'll probably have the longer career. I think in terms of the big numbers, but that's a tough one, man, because they're almost like the complete opposite type of receiver. You have DK, who's just a physical specimen, jump ball guy, strong, and then Tyreek just pure speedster. So depending on how long Tyreek can be pure speed, I think is kind of the answer. If Tyreek can still have that level of speed till he's 32, 33, then he'll probably be pretty good, kind of similar to AJ Brown was, Antonio Brown was. But yeah, what do you think?
I would take Tyreek.
Yeah.
What's that?
He's got the younger quarterback too. So
yeah. Nice. Hey, can I show you one headline news that came across today that was interesting?
Yeah.
This was floating around our Discord as well. You see Kevin Durant came in as an investor in Star Stock.
Wow. It's kind of cool that players are getting really involved in this stuff.
They are. So you got the Vaynerchuks, you got Matt Dellavedova, you have Kevin Durant. There's some big time names kind of flowing into back, brand names in the hobby. It's kind of fun to see.
That is cool.
So
that's awesome.
Anyway. All right. Sorry, I hijacked the last few minutes of your
show. That's good. I forgot to slide that in. That's my bad. What do you got planned for the holidays, Ty? That's something fun your family does for the holidays.
We're already starting our little holiday movie run. So we run through all the movies, right, with the kids.
Yeah.
Start with the Santa Clauses, then we go to the Home Alones, and then we do the Jingle All the Way, and we get all those. It's probably the next week or so. We'll probably go every night until we hit Christmas Eve.
Perfect.
And then we go and we'll let the kids pick out some stuff at Samaritan's Purse, and we try to sponsor some stuff going on overseas. It's kind of fun to do that together with them. As they get older, they kind of get it, right? You can
Yeah.
take care of folks overseas is kind of fun.
That's awesome. Good,
So,
man.
what about you?
Well, I think my kids are much younger, so like a lot of those shows you mentioned, they still wouldn't really grasp them yet, being 3 and 5, but they kind of caught on to Elf on the Shelf tradition. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but take the elf and you hide around the house every night and watch to make sure you do good things. So they definitely love that idea. This year we started a thing that my wife's been wanting to do for a long time. Went and bought a baby Christmas tree that you keep in your house till the spring, and then you go plant it out in the forest. We'll put a geocache on it because we like geocaching as a family, so it kind of gives a landmark for our trees for the next few years going forward. So do some fun things like that. It's kind of like those little traditions. We're just starting to build the tradition, so it's kind of fun to think of things to do. So definitely, yeah, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being on for week 13. We'll come back to week 14 and keep on trucking. Good luck in those fantasy matchups and enjoy the Prizm.
All right, man. Have a good week.
You as well.